you might want to put down that drumstick. In multiple health inspections, KFC was flagged for storing raw chicken at temperatures that could breed dangerous bacteria like salmonella. This isn't a sketchy back alley kitchen. It's one of America's most iconic chains. But KFC's not the only one. From reheated wings to filler-packed nuggets and black market supply chains, some of the biggest names in chicken are taking shortcuts. That could put your health at risk. If you eat out even once a week, this might be the most important thing you watch all month. Let's kick this off with one of the most iconic names in American fast food. Kentucky Fried Chicken built its legacy on crispy skin, secret spices, and a finger-licking promise. But if you've ever bitten into a KFC drumstick and wondered why it tastes more like science than supper, you're not imagining things. A big reason, KFC chicken is often injected with a saltwater brine, a mixture of water, salt, and preservatives meant to boost moisture and flavor. It also increases the weight of each bird. That means you're not just paying for chicken, you're also buying the water it's been soaking in. Most of the chicken arrives pre-processed and frozen, not fresh. In many locations, it's reheated instead of breaded and cooked to order. And while pressure frying locks in flavor, it also locks in risk, especially when kitchen staff are rushed or protocols aren't followed precisely. Temperature control matters a lot. Multiple health inspection reports have flagged KFC locations for storing raw chicken at unsafe temperatures, which can create a perfect storm for bacteria like salmonella. And that's not just theoretical. In Colorado, 2 toddlers got seriously sick after eating at KFC. One ended up needing surgery due to Salmonella Newport contamination. According to legal filings, the bacteria likely came from improperly stored or handled raw chicken. But it's not just what's on your tray that's worrying. Frying oil at KFC gets pushed to the limit, sometimes reused for extended periods, especially during busy hours. This can lead to breakdown of the oil, forming harmful compounds that affect both taste and health. Combine that with the heavy absorbent breading and you've got a meal that drinks up more grease than a sponge at an oil change. The sodium levels? Through the roof. A single piece of original recipe chicken can contain more salt than an entire bag of potato chips. And while KFC has distanced itself from scandals like the 2014 expired meat controversy in China, it still raises questions about how closely global suppliers are being monitored. To be clear, KFC corporate has made efforts to clean up its act. But when quality control depends on hourly employees rushing through back-to-back orders, even the best policies don't always make it into practice. So, what does all this mean for you? It means that golden, crispy chicken you're biting into might have had a long, complicated journey, from factory to freezer to fryer, and maybe even through a few unsafe temperature swings in between. The problem isn't the flavor, it's how much behind-the-scenes chaos it took to get there. And just like their secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, what's really inside might be something they'd rather not advertise. From soggy skin and corporate nostalgia, we move to a place that built its reputation on freshness. Chipotle doesn't brag about a secret recipe. It brags about food with integrity. But between 2015 and 2018, more than 1,100 people got violently ill from eating at Chipotle. So if integrity means stomach cramps and hospital visits, they nailed it. Let's start with the Boston College outbreak. One employee got so sick, they vomited during their shift. Instead of being sent home, they were told to tough it out and prep food for a team catering order. Result? 141 students sick, diarrhea, vomiting, class canceled, all because one manager didn't follow the rulebook. That wasn't a one-time mistake. Chipotle has had E. coli, norovirus, salmonella, and Clostridium perfringens outbreaks, all tied to improper food handling, cross-contamination, or failure to follow safety protocols. One store in Ohio served chicken that was left out too long. Nearly 650 people got sick. That's not a misstep, that's a full-on biohazard zone. And the government took notice. In 2020, Chipotle was fined $25 million, the largest criminal penalty in U.S. history for a restaurant food safety case. The Department of Justice made it clear Chipotle didn't just mess up, they knew the rules and chose not to follow them. What makes it worse is the false sense of security. Chipotle's chicken looks grilled, freshly chopped, and tossed with your bowl like it just came off your backyard BBQ. But that just grilled illusion hides how tight the margins are. Fast preparation, hot tables, limited staff, all of it creates the perfect storm for undercooked or unsafe meat. Even their grilled chicken was once raw, marinated in buckets by hand, which sounds artisanal until you realize it led to mass cross-contamination. Eventually, they had to outsource that prep to a central facility after multiple outbreaks proved the in-store method was a public health risk. Now imagine you're eating a chicken bowl. That meat may have been sitting in the danger zone temperature range between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, where bacteria multiply like wildfire, all while the server smiles and asks if you want extra cheese. This is what happens when a brand scales faster than it trains. When you value speed over safety, image over process. Chipotle's entire model of farm to foil broke down under pressure, and customers paid the price. And let's not forget taste. Many fans love the charred, smoky flavor, but that same flavor has a dirty secret. Uneven reheating from pre-cooked trays that sometimes leave chicken warm on the outside, cold inside. Numerous customer complaints have pointed out cold or lukewarm chicken, followed by stomach issues shortly after. And honestly, that's the lucky version. At least they realized something was off before it got worse. Chipotle isn't some mystery meat lab, but it's proof that fresh doesn't mean safe. They tried to be the healthy, honest option in a world of greasy takeout. But when hundreds end up sick from the chicken in their bowls, you realize integrity doesn't mean much when your employees are told to serve food after throwing up. Popeyes built its empire on spicy, crispy chicken that hits hard with flavor. But behind the crunch, there's a system cracking under pressure. And the cracks aren't just cosmetic. Let's start with one of the most viral kitchen nightmares in fast food history. In Washington, D.C., a delivery driver peeked into a Popeyes after hours and recorded dozens of rats scurrying around the kitchen floor. The video blew up. But the part that didn't go viral? Health inspectors later found the refrigerator holding raw chicken was running at over 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not a minor mistake. That's bacteria paradise. The store was immediately shut down, not for the rats, but for storing raw chicken at temperatures known to grow salmonella, like it's on purpose. But that's not where the story ends. Over in Connecticut, a customer bit into what looked like a golden, crispy chicken sandwich, only to discover it was raw and pink in the center, completely undercooked. He reached out to the restaurant. They offered him another sandwich, because when you almost eat raw poultry, what you really want is a second helping. Even worse, the franchise owner never followed up. It wasn't until a health inspection was triggered that employees were retrained on cooking temperatures. Translation, it took a near food poisoning incident just to get people to use a thermometer. And while most customers assume fast food chicken comes from clean, regulated supply chains, one lawsuit in Canada says otherwise. According to court filings, multiple Popeyes franchisees were secretly buying chicken from black market suppliers, including meat stored in residential garages and delivered in unrefrigerated trucks. Let's say that again. Some Popeyes customers may have eaten expired chicken, stored next to someone's lawnmower. The company denies it, of course. But when your supply chain includes backyard fridges and undocumented distributors, something's gone very wrong. Inspector records also paint a messy picture. One location showed soiled ovens and equipment, and another was cited for wet stacked pans that weren't properly dried, both violations linked to bacterial risk. So yes, that crispy crunch might just be powered by yesterday's grease and shady supply channels, not commitment to food safety. Yet customers keep coming back for the flavor, because let's be honest, the seasoning slaps. But seasoning doesn't kill pathogens. Cayenne and garlic powder can't save you from E. coli. Popeyes promotes itself with big flavor and southern soul. But the real soul of any kitchen is discipline. And when raw meat is stored warm, rats are roaming freely, and off-the-books chicken is showing up from garages, it's not spicy, it's dangerous. You can wrap it in foil and hand it over with a smile. But if the meat inside came from a hot fridge and a shady truck, that sandwich becomes a health hazard in a sesame seed disguise. The only thing more disturbing than Popeyes' behind-the-scenes chaos? How easy it is to miss it, until you're doubled over with food poisoning. Because when your chicken comes with a crunch and a side of salmonella, flavor isn't enough to save your stomach. And just when you think switching to a healthier chain means dodging disaster, along comes Subway, serving up a whole new kind of mystery meat. Only 42.8% chicken. That's what DNA tests found in Subway's sweet onion chicken teriyaki sandwich. The rest, mostly soy filler. And it doesn't stop there. Their oven-roasted chicken clocked in at just 53.6% actual chicken DNA, meaning nearly half of what you're biting into isn't even poultry. Subway, the chain that markets itself as the healthier fast food option, fresh veggies, whole grains, lean proteins, was serving customers processed meat so diluted it barely qualified as chicken. You weren't eating grilled chicken. You were chewing on a soy-enhanced meat sponge, engineered to look like food, taste like chicken, and trick your body into thinking it was real. When CBC Marketplace in Canada exposed this in 2017, Subway went into PR overdrive. They denied everything, claimed the lab tests were flawed, and then sued the network for $210 million in defamation. But here's the twist. They lost. The court sided with CBC, calling the reporting responsible and fair. Translation? That mystery meat headline wasn't slander. It was a warning. Let's be honest. Plenty of fast food chains use processed meat, but Subway went further. They labeled their soy-blended product 100% chicken. Customers thought they were making a healthier choice. Instead, they were getting lab-built protein patties, microwave reheated in plastic bags. Some served half-cold during lunch rushes when workers skipped the second heat cycle. Even former employees backed it up. On Reddit, they said Subway's grilled chicken doesn't smell like chicken when we take it out of the bag. It smells more like wet dog or cat food, the kind of thing that makes you stop mid-bite and ask, "What is this?" And if the ingredients didn't make you pause, the food safety violations might. A health inspection revealed ready-to-eat food contaminated by raw items, and both hot and cold ingredients stored at unsafe temperatures. Entire batches had to be thrown out. Subway wants to be the clean, healthy alternative to greasy fast food. But when your grilled chicken sandwich has more soy than poultry, and your meat's been factory molded and heat lamped back to life, you're not eating better, you're just being marketed to harder. So the next time you ask for extra spinach and skip the mayo, ask yourself one more thing. Is this really chicken, or just the illusion of it? Because if you think that's bad, wait until you see what was sitting behind the next fast food chain. Golden Corral promises all-you-can-eat comfort food for the whole family. But some locations have offered more than just variety. They've served up full-blown biohazards. Let's rewind to one of the most disturbing food safety exposés ever filmed. In 2013, a Golden Corral employee at a Florida location released a video showing piles of raw and cooked food, including chicken, stashed behind the restaurant near the dumpsters. Not in a bin, not sealed for disposal, on trays, sitting in the summer heat. There was fried chicken, raw burger patties, even tubs of green bean casserole, just sitting there, uncovered, in direct sunlight, while flies buzzed like it was an open buffet for insects. Why? According to the whistleblower, the food was hidden there to avoid health inspection violations, not thrown away, temporarily hidden, with plans to bring it back in after the inspector left. Yes, seriously. Golden Corral Corporate responded by saying the food was never served and that the manager responsible was fired. But here's the real problem. That plan existed in the first place. There was a procedure, unofficial or not, where food was parked by a dumpster like it was on a lunch break, waiting to be reintroduced into the buffet line. Even if you give them the benefit of the doubt, what kind of kitchen culture even thinks this is an option? Golden Corral runs on mass batch cooking, which means food safety comes down to temperature control. Fried chicken left under a heat lamp too long becomes dried out and dangerous. Chicken pulled too early from the fryer can be undercooked on the inside, oily on the outside, and a bacterial sponge in the middle. Many locations use warming cabinets to keep fried chicken ready for extended hours, but without careful tracking, you could be eating a wing that's been sitting for 5 hours. That's not a meal. That's a microbial science experiment in crispy breading. The buffet model also brings its own problems. Self-serve utensils handled by hundreds of people. Cross-contamination between trays. Staff juggling prep, restocking, and cleanup during peak hours with minimal oversight. In a system built for speed and scale, things get sloppy. fast. And it wasn't just the dumpster scandal in Florida. Health inspections nationwide have found Golden Corral locations repeatedly failing basic safety standards. Officials cited them for storing food at unsafe temperatures, prepping items in visibly unclean areas, and even keeping expired ingredients chilling in freezers and refrigerators. These violations aren't rare. Inspection records show patterns of neglect, from cold storage failures to unsanitary prep surfaces and outdated stock. Golden Corral advertises value, but when chicken is treated like furniture, shifted, hidden, and reheated, the real cost isn't in dollars. It's in gut health, trust, and common sense. You may think you're loading up on comfort food, but in some locations you're just loading up on risk. Because the moment your dinner has to hide behind a dumpster to pass inspection, you should probably eat somewhere else. Our next fast food chain, Church's Chicken, serves up crispy fried chicken with a southern drawl and a price tag that feels too good to be true. But sometimes that bargain box comes with more than just a side of biscuits. Let's rewind to a Detroit location that health inspectors shut down in 2021. Why? 7 cases of raw chicken that were up to 6 days past their expiration date were being prepped to be served. Not tossed out, not flagged, actively being breaded and dropped into the fryer. Inspectors noted the spoiled chicken had a smell and appearance that could knock out your appetite, but employees didn't throw it out until the health department told them to, and only after they were instructed to pour bleach on it so it couldn't be used later. Yes, bleach, because that was apparently the only way to make sure it didn't end up in someone's combo meal. And it gets worse. An employee was caught handling that spoiled chicken, then switching straight to prepping fresh food without changing gloves. Same gloves, different chicken, zero hygiene. Cross-contamination was just part of the workflow. Even the batter wasn't safe. Inspectors found that staff were using the same breading mix for both the expired chicken and the fresh batches, meaning the bacteria wasn't just on the meat, it was in the flour too. So even if you thought you were getting the good chicken, it may have been rolled in the same microbial coating as the rotten stuff. And that's just one store. In Las Vegas, a Church's Chicken was closed down after raw sewage started bubbling up into the kitchen and dining area. You heard that right. Wastewater coming up through the floors while food was still being served. Another location got slapped with health violations for a cockroach infestation. Not a few bugs, an infestation. The inspector described live roaches crawling near prep stations and dry storage shelves. Church's is a franchise-heavy operation, which means oversight varies. Some stores are clean and tight-run, others not so much. Multiple Church's locations have been cited for an ice scoop buried in the bin, handle down in the ice, missing hand towels at every sink, broken tiles, and a kitchen so filthy it had grease buildup on fryers, splattered walls, and trash left by the back door for the entire inspection. When a chain sells fried chicken on tight margins, safety can fall through the cracks, especially when those cracks are literal and filled with insects, grease, and the smell of spoiled meat. Church's might not be as flashy as KFC or Popeyes, but their failures are no less alarming. When a 6-day expired drumstick is dipped in day-old batter and handed to a customer, it stops being food. It becomes a health risk with a side of denial. Because if bleach is the only thing keeping bad chicken off the menu, you've got a bigger problem than your dipping sauce. The next fast food chain? Pink. Cold, bloody at the bone. That's how some customers say their wings arrived at Buffalo Wild Wings. Not just undercooked, raw inside, fresh from the fryer with golden breading hiding a gelatinous center. Social media is filled with photos of wings that look crispy on the outside, but reveal something closer to sushi when bitten into. Health inspections back it up. Multiple BWW locations across several states have been cited for serving chicken below safe internal temperatures. In many Buffalo Wild Wings kitchens, cooked to order doesn't mean fresh. It means pulling frozen wings straight from the freezer and dropping them into hot oil. No thawing, no temp checks, no thermometer. Just the hope that the outside cooks fast enough to fool the eye, but inside? You're gambling with salmonella, E. coli, and Campylobacter, all lurking in those cold bone-in centers. Things get worse on game nights. The kitchen's slammed, orders pile up, the crowd's loud, the line cooks are new, and when your fryer's overloaded and your shift lead's watching the score instead of the food temp, corners get cut. One ex-worker said it flat out. I've seen a few instances where they only fry them once. Wings are tricky to cook right. They're small, uneven, and bone-in, which makes them harder to fully heat through. And when you combine poor training, high turnover, and broken timers, you don't get crispy comfort food. You get a bacterial time bomb dressed in mango habanero. Buffalo Wild Wings wants you focused on the game, the sauces, the beers, but you might want to focus on what's under the skin, because in the right lighting, undercooked chicken can blend right in until it hits your stomach. Most people think food poisoning is rare, that it happens at sketchy places with bad Yelp reviews and shady kitchens. But what if the real danger is hiding behind big names and bold flavors? The truth is, when a franchise prioritizes volume over vigilance, when reheated patties and mystery meats replace real cooking, when training gets replaced by shortcuts, and chicken is stored like it's indestructible, you get more than just bad fast food. You get a system that gambles with your health. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because hurting you is cheaper than slowing down. Kitchens running on skeleton crews, inspections passed with blind spots, and supply chains filled with red flags nobody's checking. All while the marketing says crispy, juicy, fresh, flame-grilled. But none of those words matter when the chicken's undercooked. When your food's been reheated so many times, it's not a meal, it's a science experiment. And here's the worst part. It doesn't always make you sick right away. Sometimes it just makes your immune system fight a little harder, your stomach churn a little longer, your trust fade a little faster. And once that trust is gone, you don't taste the seasoning anymore. You taste the risk. So the next time you pull into KFC, Popeyes, BWW, or anywhere that says fresh, fast, and flavorful, ask yourself, what's really under that breading? What's really in that fryer oil? What's really behind that kitchen door? Because food isn't just food. It's biology, it's systems, it's safety. And when the system breaks, flavor won't save you. If this video made you look at your favorite takeout joint a little differently, hit like, subscribe, and follow Empire Uncut. We expose what others try to bury, because someone has to. And trust us, you'll want to see what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and remember, the scariest ingredient is the one they never list.